we're going to move into our community services briefing. We'll go around the room first for introductions.
Kevin Schutte.
Lydia Buhite.
Dave Wyndham.
Deidre Callen.
Randy Neville.
And Sharon Trask. All right, Dave.
Okay, so obviously we've gone into phase 2. That is out there. Kind of updates over the weekend. We had a couple of folks that we worked with. So I tell you, if you saw the announcement, at the bottom of it, very stern warnings from John Wiesman. You will contact, these things happen. One of them was the nursing home. So we did talk with the nursing facilities. All of them have to be done, supposedly be done by May 31st. That's probably not going to happen anywhere in the state. But we went through Shelton Health and Rehab. So Lydia, if you want to bring us up to date on that.
Yeah, so we've contacted all of our skilled nursing care facilities. We know how many staff they have, how many residents they have. We've only had in one nursing facility, we've only had 2 staff come down with COVID since this all started. And so we decided to start with Shelton Health and Rehab because that's where the 2 staff that had come down were at. And so we worked with them in the hospital, got everything set up last week, and the entire facility was done in a little over 48 hours.
So in testing.
In testing of all staff and all residents. Now, some staff had already been tested in the past month, so we didn't have to do them all. I think they did about 120 tests total with great support from Mason General Hospital and their facility staff there. We've gotten 25 staff back so far. The residents went to commercial labs because that was the way financially it could be done the easiest for the facility. And the staff all went to public health lab. We have 25 back of the staff, all were negative this weekend so far. So we'll be monitoring all of that. And that, I think that's now a total of 100 staff. That's a total of, I think, maybe 40 that have been negative in the facilities. So we're not anticipating to see anything different, but you just never know. So we're kind of stuck at this point. That facility's done. That was our goal, to get them done as quick as possible. But we do not have the testing supplies that we've been asking for 4 weeks, and Dave had a new ask on Friday that we did get confirmation they're processing it. So hopefully today or tomorrow we'll hear about those testing coming, because we're getting very low on tests. And we want to hold all the rest of the tests for anybody with symptoms. We do not want to be doing all these asymptomatic.
Did we not hear a couple, like last week, that we had 2,500 tests?
Yeah, so I requested 500, and then we talked, and they added another 2,000 to that. What's happened is they've changed the process again. Basically back to what it was in the beginning, where all the tests have to be authorized through local public health. So on Saturday, Friday, I had myself upgraded on the list. And on Saturday, I changed the shipping address from public health to the hospital. So we do the order and it should drop ship right to the hospital and not have to come to us and take this step, another step in there. So I got a phone call Friday night and they added the other 2,000, and I got a phone call Saturday when they said, well, the EPIs have to look at it and they're authorizing it. And I don't think the EPIs worked on Sunday or Monday, but we should have that.
They're working on the additional or the other? Do we have a tracking number or anything?
No, well, we have a tracking number for the whole order, the whole 2,500.
So it's supposed to be coming, just hasn't arrived.
Right. So the EPIs have to sign off on every order. So based on the tiers and the disease load of the county on that particular date.
Okay, so what does that mean for time? That's part. Just because they say that, that doesn't mean anything to me. Do we have a time?
It should be today.
We expect a delivery
I'm
today?
expecting it today because they said it was going to go out. The person I talked to Saturday it said it was shipped the next day or the day after. So I'm thinking today.
So we're waiting and watching for that.
Right, and Tammy up at DEM is trying to track down where it is in the shipping.
I was going to say, if there's a delay, can you please reach out to Kids Apper Thursday? And I don't want to be short.
We've got enough to cover
right.
what we do this week. we will not do asymptomatic until we have the big order,
Right.
because that takes a lot.
And again, to me, that's worth reaching out to ask for help if we don't have them, but that's just my opinion. I want to be able to test those that want to be tested,
Right.
not
And
because
that-
we didn't ask a neighbor.
We can test those that want to be tested. We're
Right.
not in trouble there. It's the state's demand for us doing by the 31st all nursing facilities.
And I did talk to John Weisman on Sunday about it, to let him know where we were in the process and that we had changed that piece. And we hadn't quite gotten the notice. He says, well, yeah, it was probably could have been put out a little better. But if we get low, we're to give him a call or the state duty officer a call, and they'll get us those tests. So,
And again, it's, the symptomatic is our biggest concern. The asymptomatic is a process they're going through. It's not our big concern now that we have the one facility done. So it's the symptomatic people that and they still have to have symptoms to come be tested.
Right.
So they're the ones, and we do have tests to do that. And so we won't let it fall too low that we will turn anyone away.
How many do we have?
Yeah. What tests on hand?
I haven't checked this morning with
Sure.
I haven't checked the hospital,
Probably a
yeah.
couple hundred,
Couple hundred?
a couple hundred they have.
And they're doing an average of 25 to 50 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in order to round out all of the skilled nursing or whatever long-term care facilities, how many tests a day would that take?
We're only allowed to submit, so this is another, I didn't get to part two.
Right.
Part two is they changed their rules again on submitting tests. We had sent our concern that they were demanding these nursing homes be done, but they're gonna overwhelm the labs, of which has already happened. And of course, we're just one small county, there's, 8 other counties that are sending tests in. So Public Health Lab got overwhelmed over the weekend, and then they started requesting tests be sent to commercial. The problem with that is the staff that work at these facilities generally don't have an insurance that will pay for a test for an asymptomatic person. So that is why they're being sent to Public Health Lab, which is also the original guidance was we send all staff to Public Health Lab because they're staff. So we're still going to keep sending staff to Public Health Lab. We've been sending the residents to commercial labs. That's where all of Shelton Health and Rehab went to. So it's still about Public Health Lab will not take more than 50 a day. So we can only send a maximum of 50 a day, which should get us through this week. If we get the testing supplies, we should be able to do the rest of them by the due date, but I won't guarantee that, just because you've got to have the nursing home's ability to do that too. And we didn't start with the other ones, we started with the biggest one that was the most important for us to start with.
Right.
So in order, all things being equal, lab capacity maybe aside, we would need to do 50 tests a day to get through all the nursing facilities by the deadline?
We have about 300 more tests to do in the remaining nursing facilities.
Okay.
Some of those tests will go to commercial labs, so that's not the 50 minimum. That's going to go to a commercial lab, they can take as many as they can take. The only 50 is just staffing, and I think we probably have about 100 staff left to do. So a couple of days, except that we don't want to do more than one nursing home at a time, so that we can keep track of them. It's just a lot of work to set this up.
I mean, we're putting another order for at least another 2,500 kits. 2,500 tests, because kits, there's 5 to a kit. So they were going to send me, I think, no. The total number is this big number. So however you break that into number of kits, that's fine. So we'll just keep that order basically per week until we can get everything caught up.
How are the residents, when they, after they're tested, are they, because I can't imagine my mother-in-law getting a test.
Okay, good question. So what we did in the first nursing home we went with, we are taking into account in setting up the plan with each home as to their recommendations on how to get people tested, especially their residents. And one of the things was the residents now can do nasal tests rather than nasopharyngeal, which is less invasive. and they were gonna have their own staff do it, because the staff knows the people rather than having somebody foreign come in and try to do a test. They're also having to all sign, or their family, waivers, because they are not doing the test without the permission of the client, the patient, or the family. So that can adjust how many tests end up getting done as well, because it is not required, it's suggested. So we're letting the nursing homes handle that, and and the first one went very successfully. So it went well, and the fact that they did it in 2 days was kind of amazing to us. So the other ones, now that's one of the homes, and all of them have been doing a fabulous job since February. They've been amazing. That's probably why we have not had an outbreak in any of our homes. So the other ones now, some of them have not done testing yet. And so it's going to be a new thing for them, and helping them each one work out what works for their agency and for their residents and their staffing. But Mason General has been willing to go out if need be and test. They've been very cooperative and helpful in getting it done. So we'll get it done. We're not the least bit concerned. We'll get it done, and we'll shoot to get it done on time. That would be our goal, but we'll see.
A lot of the large counties are saying they just don't have the capability to get it done. Clark County could just say that, maybe by the middle of June they'd get them all done. Just because it's such a large undertaking, and to try to do it every 2 weeks is what we're pushing back on, because that just really is going to plug things up for a long time.
Actually, that's one of your opportunities for somebody from the state.
Yep.
And just have them work that cycle. Somebody from DMV or whatever, have a couple of them have work those
Well, that
clinics.
still has to be done by hospital staff, the
Yeah,
testing.
it has to be done
It
by
has to be.
Yeah.
And
Just heard that UW laid off 4,000 people.
There you go.
UW Medical, so.
So
the
now-
problem with every 2 weeks is there's no justification for it medically. When you're doing people who are asymptomatic, you can test them today and they could have a symptom tomorrow and they could be positive tomorrow. So it doesn't make sense to put that much money into something. It's better to monitor.
And I understand it's like staff in general, and I'm not one of those conspiracy people that think that literally, I understand that if you test them, they can still get it the next day after they've been tested. But at the same time, I do understand the importance of testing, getting as many of them out there, because if we're gonna track them, catch them, and isolate them in any way, the quicker we can do that, the safer all my community is. You were mentioning about not being able to get some of these people funded for it. I thought that was covered by the insurance commission. The commissioner said if, they were covered at the time, was that only limited for a short time? And if it is that something we could use that $3.8 million for, to us put up the money and then get reimbursement? Because I really want to give these people the opportunity to get those tests. Again, not because I think there's this big conspiracy about it, but I just know that the quicker we find it, the quicker we can keep it from spreading in case it does happen to somebody. So all those that want to test it, if we can get them, I want them to see them be successful in getting that test.
The people in these nursing homes, since we're talking about the nursing homes particularly right now, that don't have coverage, that's why they're going to public health labs, so they don't have to pay for them. The testing of the commercial lab, what did she say this morning, was $220 for each
Which is a
test.
jump. It was at 55.
At some point, someone's going to say no to keep testing people that are negative, because you could be testing thousands of people constantly for no reason. What's been successful, I think, in this county is we've been testing, and we've not turned a single person away for money or not. Anyone with any symptom is being tested immediately, and we want to encourage people when they have symptoms to come in quickly and get tested. That's the most important piece right now, I think.
I was going to say, I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm talking about the public at large. I'm not talking
No,
about.
so as like a drive-up tent at Mason General,
Is where
if you have insurance, it's covered. They've got it all covered. So for any economic bracket, it's covered.
It's covered.
Okay.
I was speaking earlier of the staff.
No, I got you.
Yeah,
But putting that together with the numbers and the idea, if anybody isn't covered, they're not going to test. I'm telling you right now, I'm from a part of the community where we have those issues, and they won't if they don't have the extra hundreds of dollars. I got a clinic up there that if you want to walk in an urgent care, you got to pay $200 regardless of anything that happens, and there is an extra fee. I'd like to see that change, but that's not within my power. That's what happens at the urgent care at the Harrison. So that's on top of your insurance doesn't cover that.
And Mason General's been very clear if anyone
Yeah.
comes, and we haven't had a single person turned away, so. with
That
the
could
pay
make
or
a job,
not.
doing a great job.
Yes, they are. And so are our long-term care facilities. They're doing an excellent job. So we feel good because we're in compliance. We'll try to beat every county out and get them done, if possible. Especially if they get us the test today or tomorrow.
Have any counties completed? I mean, I imagine maybe some of Eastern Washington where they have.
No, I talked to Okanagan, and they're not there yet. And they're concerned, in fact, all of Eastern Washington is, they're getting a big influx in, I forget what the visa is, the B,
The H-1B or something.
H-1B, yeah.
The migrant workers?
migrant workers, and they're getting like, Okanagan's getting 1,900, and Chelan Douglas is getting 2,500, and there's these groups that are coming in, the Mexico said that they're not going to test them. So it falls on the, like the fruit packers, whoever, are going to have to pay for the testing. So that's just an added thing on top of their burden for the nursing homes that they're trying to balance. So I had a couple conversations over the weekend with other health jurisdictions. They're like, how are you doing it? Like, well, I don't have quite the complexity that you may have on the east side.
Actually, you do. You need to reach out on that. I hadn't even thought about that. You know that's happening here too. Right now, we have the Evergreen business, and they bring in a lot of them specifically on that. So we want to make sure that they have some type of an avenue.
All right.
I'd heard that they are being tested, but you might want to hear.
It depends on the country of origin.
Right.
So I think the ones that I heard were coming from, I want to say Jamaica, were tested. But I'm not sure about the Mexico ones.
So anybody that comes into our county with a visa we get notified of their testing status on, not on COVID, but on anything
Right.
that they come in. Public health has always been notified immediately. We don't get tons in here. So, and they have to show up, they're required to show up in so many days at our front door, and we have to review, our health officer has to review their whole data and everything. So that's normal process that we do all the time. And we haven't had a number.
So I'll ask maybe the unpopular follow-up question to that. How about people that are undocumented?
That's probably where most are
Those are the
coming
ones
from,
that are-
rather than,
And that's tough because they don't present for testing even when ill. So that's, a population that we're keeping a close eye on. Because if a person doesn't present and they're ill and they don't get tested, then they have the opportunity to expose that whole family circle. So we're watching those pretty close. We've had,
And that's another reason why we need to be using that money, because, and it's not pro-legal immigrant or anti, that has nothing to do with it. We're here, we need to get everybody that needs to be tested, in order to take over. So again, if it comes up that we need to talk about that for finance and get the money out first, we need to do something to make sure.
actually, I think it's more important to get the messaging out there.
yes, it is.
To get the people out of the culture, because we can pay for it. We got that.
Yeah,
We
we've
can
got
handle
that
that.
covered.
And
I just
as
need
long as
people
they
to-
know, then you might get them.
Yeah, we just need people to present.
So we had talked to the PIO about doing another Spanish-speaking video
Yeah.
to get some word out about testing and about not being afraid of ISIS and being able to come in and not being worried about not being able to pay for it,
Right.
to be trying to communicate
Yeah, we can get that
more.
done.
We have a couple of churches where you can literally hit hundreds,
Yeah,
Right.
and I hope we're using that.
we are. We have been since day one.
And on those ones with the visas that are coming through, if they go to a different area and then come over here, do they have to notify you when they change county? Is that what that is? Because a lot of these are not coming here directly, they're in a cycle.
Yeah.
And, the Evergreen community at least, the brush pickers basically, they're covered, but some of these companies actually come out of Texas, for example, and they have their workers at the agreement is through Texas, and they bring the workers.
When they follow the work.
That's right.
Right.
So I'm just thinking we need to actually reach out to them. They, believe it or not, they don't have some of the issues others. They want to be honest on
Yeah.
these things. It has changed from the old days where it was just a guy doing a brush shed, carrying all the stuff in himself, to the bigger ones. These guys and gals want to be professional, they don't want to lose their license. There's huge money in them. One of them is owned by Milgard, as in Windows, just to give you an idea right here. They want to be, so we got to give them the opportunities. So maybe we just reach out to them and let them know.
Yeah, Libby's been on top of that from day one, so it's priority for them,
And we've gotten some feedback from your area command that we hadn't reached out enough to the Spanish-speaking community, so,
especially the Guatemalan.
yeah. So that's been.
So you guys had used Mateo Santiago to do the video, and he's tremendous. But he did it in Spanish, but it would be great to get him to do it in Concabal and Mom.
Yeah, I was going to say that's.
Because he's fluent in both. I mean,
Okay.
that's.
Yeah. And in case you don't, I'm sure you realize, but we are separated. We used to have a lot of people from the Mexico region and stuff in Belfair, but the Guatemalans and them did not get along, and they moved them here south. There's this big wall between the two. So I hope we have it both, or else we're missing half the county.
I didn't know that Mateo spoke both those languages.
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
talk to the PIO today about that.
Mhm.
Right.
I've been the one pushing from day one about the
He definitely
messaging to
speaks
that
Concabal.
community.
I know that. I'm pretty sure he speaks Spanish too. So I know him through.
I'll have them reach
Church
out to
and-
him
yeah.
and, because I did request last week that they get another video going, but if we've got him to speak, and we have some others that speak too.
Or even if because he does translating for the school for North Mason and Prince of Peace in Belfair. So I mean, he could do written word translation as well.
Written word doesn't go very well with this.
Well, but I mean, it would be another.
Spanish.
It's better, but it's a tool you still want to use even.
We still are using
Yeah.
Spanish. Written and Concabal does not go.
Right.
I researched that in the last 10 years.
Okay, very good.
It's
But
very
I'm
hard
just
to
my
even
point.
get it done.
My point is
But yes.
multiple points of contact
Yes,
is
yeah.
what I'm saying. I mean, written, not written, video, audio, whatever you want to do is
Videos
fine.
seem to be the.
Let's just do it. I mean,
Yes.
because we could also make the argument that not all Guatemalan people are hanging out on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, I mean,
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree with your statement. I don't care if it gets the majority. I want to get some of them, and even the ones that aren't being touched by any of that. So I hope you will consider looking at the written word as well.
Oh,
We do the written
have
word
that.
all the time.
Yeah, we do have that out.
so I'm
It's
going to
always
maybe make
been out
another
from day
somewhat
one.
unpopular comment here. It's great that Commissioner Trask is in these meetings with you guys every day and that, like, we're not. And so, like, we're just trying to stay caught up here, okay? And so if there's been a conversation that has happened that we wouldn't necessarily be privy to because we're not there, because they're not public meetings, just let us catch up, okay?
Okay.
We're not doing it because we don't think you're doing things. We just want to be able to go through and have the conversation so that we know that we're getting information out.
Okay, so the PIO is responsible for all the information, and we feed it to them constantly. And they also have been doing their own outreaching and figuring out how to do things. So maybe the PIO should also come report out how they're handling that? Because
Yeah.
I don't even hear the details of that, because I'm not in those meetings. But I know that we suggest constantly to them the next thing that needs to go up. But I also know they're doing other stuff beyond what we suggest.
Okay.
And there's always an open invitation if you guys want
Yeah.
to listen in on the meetings.
Is everybody getting this every day?
The sit rep.
Yeah. Okay. We should get that covered.
So we just want to make sure that we're complying by the OPMAs, and anytime you guys want to be on the,
Well, let's just make it let's just put it on our weekly agenda thing so that when we can pop in
Yeah.
whenever.
I would appreciate that.
That's one of the reasons why I don't want to violate
Yeah.
anything by
Is
showing
it
up.
every day at 8:30?
Every day at 8.
8.
But at the public works, so we
Yeah.
have a Zoom
Zoom.
call-in.
Great.
Yeah, so could you send us the link every
Yeah.
day, please?
It's the
I
same
don't know
link.
who does that.
Okay,
for
we would need
the
it to.
entire meeting.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Can do. Easy.
I know everyone would love to have you guys participating and
Yep.
listening in.
Yep. Okay, another thing that's going on is we've been working with food, and so far we've brought in about 150,000 pounds of food for the food banks. That's beyond what they normally get. So,
I know that there's still a shortage. We switched from one carrier to another,
Pacific Coast, something, yeah.
and the food boxes are smaller. They're supposed to feed a family of 4 for 4 days.
Well, if you looked at what was in one of the boxes, there's no way that a family of four could live on that for 4 days, maybe one day. And so we're working with the food banks to try to get that.
And maybe cross-level the boxes so they make more sense.
Right.
Like you have spaghetti in one box, and the next person got the box with the spaghetti sauce in it.
Mhm.
Yeah, a little disconnect there. So we're trying to get that figured out. And then one had rice, and the other one had like chips and, you know, a power drink,
Yeah.
you know, so, you know, so it's, we got a lot of poundage in, we're just trying to get it kind of squared away as to what people get.
What about getting funding to them because they already have their connections?
We are.
Yeah.
Through United Way, so we just had our emergency food and shelter meeting. United Way and some of the churches, we all got together, and, because I'm on that committee. So we met, and there's, what was it, $89,000 that's being distributed out to, like Crossroads, Community Lifeline, Matlock, then.
Through the Community Action Council monies?
Yeah.
And that's what I figured, but I'm
No, not
wondering-
through Community Action Council. This is through United Way.
The community fund, the South Puget Sound money?
Yeah,
that we,
I believe so. No, it comes from two different things. So there's a base that's 37, and that comes from the federal. So both of these money pots come from the federal government. So there's phase 37, and then I can get you guys all the information on it if you want.
Yeah.
Phase 37, and there's also money coming from the CARES Act. So it's separate from what Mason County is getting, but this is coming directly to United Way to spread out.
it's the CARES Act money that I'm thinking of, and I want to make sure that we're utilizing it to the best, so that's good.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but there's a meeting at noon, and that will be part of that. So if we can get on that, I know we have a ton of people from the COVID team and from our finance that will be on that meeting as well.
Also Mason School, Sheldon School District got $20,000
Yeah.
grant
Yeah,
for more food boxes that they're going to be doing. From 1,800 they did on one day last week.
yeah, there's a lot of people that need food.
Randy, do you know the North Mason Coalition of Churches? Are they still doing the backpack
Yes.
pro?
Yeah, but I don't know that they're doing as much as they were though, because they didn't have the access last
They're
time.
getting some of this money as well.
Yeah, 'cause I know I've given them money myself personally and stuff, and I know they're trying, but they're having some issue, last I heard, getting access.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be getting some of this money. Okay.
But even having money sometimes is,
Yeah, getting the supplies.
that's
is
what I meant
harder.
by the access, you know. That's why I was wondering, you know, the more money we can get directly to those food banks, they already have their agreements with,
Mhm.
their contracts, I should say.
Well, some of those got changed when they went to this new, basically they picked, what, 5 providers for the state? And put food banks into the different pipelines. You'll be in this pipeline, and you'll be in that pipeline. So that's made it a little more difficult too.
But is that for moving out the monies that we're talking about now? Or do they still have their original pipelines for their original services? And
Some of them don't have the original ones, so you will use this pipeline. So that's where the challenges come. So right now, we've got them stocked up, plus I think we've had 3 extra pallets, I think Will said this morning. So everybody's at capacity plus 3. But we're getting in about 15 to 25 pallets a week, something like that, of food. So pretty good turnout, it's 25,000 pounds a week. Okay, so next thing is we've got Kayla is going out. Kayla and Sunny are working on contacting all the food establishments. So they had emails that went out. They've got written stuff going out, and Kayla's going out in person. To some places, she called this morning and said, we don't do email. Well, then you'll get a personal visit from Kayla, who's going to go out and check on them. I guess one of the restaurants in your community put up clear shower curtains around each table.
I was just finding that out today.
It's really made this, like the cone of silence around each table, so. Good for them, smart moves.
But you're comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with
As
that.
long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable with that. I thought that was a little interesting, but I knew they were doing some type of divider, but here was.
Well, in the guidance, it says unless you have a divider.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking
there's
is, we
dividers.
have restaurants up there that have booths, that if they could extend the booth up just a little bit, how much higher do they need to extend the booth above the
I
head?
can find that out, it's in the guidance, so we'll find it out.
I looked, it just said Barry didn't have that, because I was hoping to see that number,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a big difference to have 50% of what the fire marshal says compared to 50% of the tables, they're looking at as tables.
Yeah.
But they have to keep the 6 feet, but if they don't have to do that, I think they'll be a lot better shape than we think if we can.
Right, 50% of what the fire marshal says could be more than 50% of the tables.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's kind of a weird way to write the reg, but okay.
Well, we know what they meant when they did it, but the
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, we take advantage of the loopholes, that's what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay. Yes, we have heard that a couple have opened with, at 100% capacity, and we'll have to go out, have a visit, shoot a out and talk to them, so we already worked on that this morning, so that's Kayla's afternoon.
I like the way that JR's the one I went to, I've had people that would contact me, but the way they have it set up, they have 2 big tables and a small table in the middle. So if you have a family, you can't sit at the small table. Keep the small table completely open, and you sit, so you're still there together, just you're separated by another table, so you have 2 different tables and together. I thought that was pretty smart.
Yeah.
Because there are families that have more than,
And five,
yeah,
eight,
I'm one of them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous looking at your picture.
The food
Yeah,
is
it made me
phenomenal.
really hungry for
It's
breakfast.
good.
When I went downtown yesterday to hunt up breakfast, I didn't hunt very hard, but a couple places I normally hunt weren't open,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, which is
okay.
great, because that's showing that they're not opening until they're ready.
Well, a lot of them aren't going to. Out in my neighborhood, they're doing very well right now. And it's just extra money that's gonna cost them to open it up, to not be able to use the capacity that they have. They're better off just keeping it like it is. I think I mentioned that one, the bistro, you try to order something there, you're 2 hours out. You know, you
Well,
can't.
so it's just doing the
They're just
takeouts.
Takeout. Same with Leonard K's, and the same with the 2 margaritas.
Yeah.
They've all decided to keep it takeout.
It'd be interesting to see how it increases their margins.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, because what you might have to put extra into maybe packaging,
yeah,
you're not putting into
Into wait staff.
Service.
staff.
yeah. I know the one, 2 margaritas, they have 3 to 5, from what I'm understanding, they don't have working. So that's a lot of money if you think about it.
Mhm.
And they can do the, the cocktails to go.
Yeah.
You know, so that's, they make a lot of money on the bar side of the house.
They do, because they're sitting out in the parking lot drinking the cocktails. That's the one part
Can't
I
do
am
that.
having a hard time with,
You're
but
not
you
supposed
see
to do
it.
that.
I know that, well,
You're supposed to go
I'm not
home.
the sheriff. I just drive by to get some bread and go, uh-oh. Go knock on all their windows. Is that a margarita?
Yeah. Sheriff.
Virgin market.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's pretty much it. I have talked with Secretary Wiesman several times over the weekend about concerns I had really around the testing was the big thing, and about nursing homes. We just had a very long conversation about nursing homes, because that's his thing, keeps him up at night too.
Mhm.
So I make sure that we're on top of that.
Mhm.
And then he's helping us out with guidance on drive-in theaters. So I called him some concerns on Sunday. He got back to me Sunday afternoon and said the governor will have guidance out on drive-in theaters by today, this afternoon, or tomorrow. So
What are they saying? Is there any discussions at phase 3 level?
no, we've heard
Think
not
so.
a peep on phase 3 yet. So-
Because they don't know.
No. So, no. And I heard some feedback from a couple other counties that didn't get theirs. So they're going through the process again.
In order to protect us, we need to get our neighbors open. We do.
Well, I think Kitsap voluntarily did not send theirs forward.
That's correct.
So, and then Thurston is going today or tomorrow?
They had a meeting with their Board of Health on Friday,
Okay,
and I think their commission is gonna meet today.
okay,
And then I think in Kitsap, their Board of Health is meeting today,
okay.
if they haven't already. And then Jefferson did, I think, something very interesting with theirs, in that they made a lot of the elements of their phase 2 reopening contingent upon what happens in Clallam and Kitsap.
Okay,
So, like, for instance, when last week, we were talking about camping. No camping in Jefferson until Kitsap moves to phase 2 and Clallam moves to phase 2, so on and so forth. So there's, I think there's a lot of different flavors of this.
mhm,
So it's something that I'd like us to be really mindful of when we move into phase 3 is, how do we get things moving, but what's the process for us
Right.
in sort of protecting ourselves from other neighboring counties that aren't opening up, so that we're not as big a magnet.
yeah,
And I think the other part of that too is when we get to that point, have Dr. Stein really be explicit about elements of the next phase that he would like to see phased in more gradually, so that we're not having this conversation at the last minute about full, partial, or no, movement to the next phase. I just think.
And I hope he doesn't feel, I hope he's okay with what happened, because he came to the table reluctantly, and I'd hate for him to feel like we.
no, and he and I talked several times this weekend. So, for example, farmer's market, Commissioner Netherlands said, what about farmer's market? What do you think about that? I'm like, I'm thinking maybe not, but let me check with Dan. And then he and I talked, and he's like, Dan's like, no, if they can adhere to this, this, and this, go ahead. So,
And that's the way we want it to be
Yeah.
done, though, for.
yeah, so,
When they open up and they don't know, they're just opening up, that's gonna put people at risk. When they open up, they go through us, and we make sure that they know what's happening, that protects us, it
Yeah.
protects our neighbors.
yeah. So I spent a lot of time on the phone this weekend and with Tex, making sure that Dan and John, because those are the two guys that I really kind of have to keep in, close contact with. And they're John, I have to say, really, I think, has supported us a lot in the last week. So I've been very appreciative of DOH. They've stepped up some things that they hadn't done in the past, so.
So do you think it was because, so we had the, oh my goodness, the National Guard, not the National Guard. We had the State Emergency Management come and visit with
Right.
our EOC
Mhm.
and talk about steps, are you prepared for this, are you prepared for that? Do you think it's because they said, well, you guys should be the model for the rest of the state?
There's that possibility. I got some conversation with Lewis County, because they went to Lewis County and they weren't as tickled with Lewis County. And had Lewis County get a hold of me and say, well, how do you set up congregate, alternative care facilities? Because they were talking about using RVs and fencing off, and what the state was really looking for is how can you put in 75 or 100 people quickly? And we've got that capability. We can do up to a couple hundred people very quickly. And so I think that our model works well, and it's being pushed out there. So it could be, and then we've had a lot of conversations back and forth with DOH, and they really kind of stepped up their game in the last week or so.
How's the state and federal government handling their properties for camping? Do we know?
The feds aren't open yet, and the state, I think they're going to, when they do it, they'll do all of them for camping, so they don't have a patchwork. That's the last that I heard from the local rangers, was that they will wait until the whole state goes to phase 2, and then they'll open camping. It sounds like they're going to open the buoys before then. The tie-off buoys. So if somebody's going up the canal, they can tie off outside of Tuano, and they can use the bathrooms there.
Commissioners, this has been something I worry about all the time. I really want to get in front, because of the way this one was rolled out, I really want to be in front of the camping issue, and I'd love to do it through ourselves if we have to, as I mentioned before, from up here, that even the federal government's places of the state don't open without us giving approval locally.
What's pretty cool is every Wednesday, we've been having meetings with the national parks, state parks, and Who else?
Forest Service.
Forest Service. So every EOC Wednesday, they come in and we all talk, and that would be a really good one for you guys to join in, because then to hear how they're managing and what they're planning on doing, it helps us as well as a county.
But when they're the ones making the decision, and we don't have any say in if it opens up again, because we don't know better, because they just make the decision and they open up here and not there, that's gonna be devastating. You know, I want that tax money, don't get me wrong, but all those people crashing into us, I'd rather have some say on it right here to make sure that we are the ones that say that that opens here.
And that's why I think you guys would enjoy the Wednesday meeting. No, because they do listen to us.
Okay?
And so if we're all talking together, we can all come up with good solutions, and we'll all be on the same page.
Again, I would rather us actually institute something, that's my preference.
So how would that work? So you're allowed to do camping under phase 2 with 5. So do we have, how many private campgrounds in the county do we have that are currently preparing to or have already opened?
There are quite a few. Ryan Sperling was talking this morning about some of them, and because they're private.
Right.
Well, we were already allowing them beforehand, because that was one of the questions that came up before we made it to phase 2.
We were allowing?
Yeah. with the-
Well, they were just going.
It's private, yeah, I don't know that we allowed it.
Because it was, well, I just meant we're not telling them they can't,
Yeah.
because that was part of the conversations that I had when I called for Lake Trask. Again, for myself, I'm more thinking of the Cushman area itself when that opens. Tahuya,
Well, that is a big part of our conversations is Lake Cushman, especially the Party Rock and access to staircase.
but see, at least we know if we made the action ourselves, we can make things.
Can we
certain.
preempt them? Like, can we be more, I mean, I know we
Yes.
can always be more strict, but I mean, would that apply even to state and federal camping?
I don't know that it would. I can ask the question, I can find out.
That might be a good Tim
Yeah.
question, because I mean, I don't disagree, I just would want to make sure that we're not taking action in vain.
Well, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to either. I want to make sure it's legal what we do. But I think we need to be looking at that, because that may be the only way we have an actual control. And then we meet together, we talk with our doctor and them, and they say we can do it this. Then we can release it, or release it with certain requirements.
Okay.
You know, in the beginning, maybe there's, you know, only every other campsite or something like that. I don't know, by doing that, we help protect our
I think the
people.
feds are coming out with a universal guideline for all their national parks. And the Forest Service is not opening camping yet.
People are cutting the lots,
Right.
but they're not opening.
They're not opening camping
They're
yet.
out there all down the roads right now, they're camping right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I guess the other side of that then is, what burden would we bear for enforcement?
And that's a big issue.
Yeah, but if they have on their websites that they're not open, or they. that-
Or not taking reservations, yeah, just,
Yeah.
just something else to consider with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to me, that just seems like one of our biggest risks that we have hanging over our head when that time comes, because they will not be from here. You know, it's just, if I lived in Seattle, I'd run away to here too. I don't blame them.
And many of them did, to their second homes.
Yep.
But again, that makes them from here. I don't wanna, somebody's
I think
probably.
that's different than camping for a weekend.
Yeah.
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 Anything else?
I'm about there.
Won't talk with.
Man, I know, talking
Taco
about
Tuesdays,
food, my
lunchtime.
stomach
Oh,
is
yeah.
talking.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any place that does Taco Tuesdays?
Yeah,
Also,
that's right. And so does Las Palmas.
Oh, yes, they do.
Which one do you recommend?
Both
They're
are
both
delicious. I alternate back and forth.
Yeah. Brenda likes one, I like the other, so that's what we do. We rotate back and forth.
Yeah. I think even 2 margaritas.
I'm just saying, are any of them actually open for sit-down?
I don't know.
Don't know.
No, yet.
Call ahead, Commissioner.
I hate eating in my car. seems that that's when it's always the sloppiest, no matter how good you try.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It all winds up right.
yep, yeah.
Well, I don't like tuna, I should say, I'm not sitting there eating a tuna sandwich, which is easy to eat, I'm eating something else that's not, like
Yeah.
tacos, I gotta assure you tacos.
Or French dip.
Yeah,
I know, when we talk about food, it's louder
Yeah.
than stomach's growing. Right. All right, anything else?
you have a Zoom meeting.
We
Yeah.
do, at noon,
And
we
then,
have 7 minutes.
yeah. And I don't know if I put this out last week, but my surgery is tentatively scheduled for 15 July. So
And then
I
you'll be
may,
out for 2 weeks.
yes, I may take some time off ahead of that,
Oh,
you know.
Get some things done, how do you do?
Yeah, before I'm laid up for,
Sure, Brenda would appreciate that.
yeah. So, yeah, it's,
All right,
it's hard to even think about it.
then, all right.
Yeah, I just have one piece of
Oh.
commissioner discussion. You guys don't have to worry about it. So I got contacted by SC Johnson, you know, the
Thank you.
SC Johnson, a family company, I
Yeah.
don't know, the SC Johnson company. So they were looking for partner communities to do education on recycling programs and how to do it, you know, because I guess one of their products is difficult to recycle, and they want people to learn how to recycle better so that their product can get recycled. So I kind of put them on to Richard and Zach to kind of have a meeting and set it up, and, or, you know, kind of hear out what the proposal is and everything. I'll probably sit in on that meeting when it happens, but just wanted to, if there was any reservations or, and then kind of leave it to Richard and Zach to bring it back to us to see if it would be a good fit.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
And then also, I think there's the Wasatch survey, if you want.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have any burning desire to do the survey, but I didn't know if there was, I think we were all emailed it.
Yeah, I have a burning desire for you to do it.
Well, you're on Wasac, so I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take that
But
away
if
from
you
you,
would like
so
to,
I
and then
wouldn't.
just let me know. You wouldn't?
Well, you're in all the Wasac, I
He
mean,
did
you're,
it. I would say he
I did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
You signed up for
I
it.
did it for 4.
The reason I brought that up was I thought that you were interested in doing it.
Oh, no, I just wanted to know if you did it, and
Okay.
if there was any
No, I will
information, or if there was a particular,
absolutely
position.
do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Okay, anything else?
nope, that's all I got.
All right.
It's nice to have a youngster on the board that never had one before.
How much?
A youngster, the newbie.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fun.
'Cause when I first came on, we were all, you know, because the one that wasn't here. So.
All right, good.
Madam Chair, move we adjourn
We're adjourned. She already turned us
Yeah.
off.
Oh, she did.
She adjourned us.
for this